Do you ever feel like you're speaking into an empty room? Like you're pouring your heart out, your deepest questions, your quietest fears, and the only thing that comes back is the echo of your own voice? Have you ever genuinely believed, truly believed, and still woken up at 3 in the morning wondering if any of it is real? If that feeling resonates, if you found yourself in a season where faith feels less like a vibrant connection and more like a silent, one-sided conversation, then this video is for you. We're going to talk about Thomas. Thomas is 58. He's a retired high school history teacher, a widower for the past few years. His children are grown, living in different cities, building their own lives. His suburban house, once filled with the bustling energy of family and the quiet hum of a shared life, now feels vast and echoing. Thomas spent decades in classrooms, bringing the past to life, weaving grand narratives of human struggle and triumph. He taught about revolutions, about empires rising and falling, about the enduring search for meaning across centuries. But lately, his own story feels less like a grand narrative and more like a faded manuscript, its pages turning brittle with disuse. Thomas has always been a man of faith, not the boisterous, demonstrative kind, but a steady, quiet conviction that God was present, a reliable undercurrent in the river of his life. He'd seen it in the resilience of his students, in the quiet strength of his late wife, in the turning of the seasons. He went to church every Sunday, the same small community he'd been a part of since he and his wife first moved to town. He knew the hymns, the rhythms of the liturgy, the familiar faces in the pews. But somewhere around his retirement, a different kind of silence began to settle in. It wasn't the peaceful quiet of a well-earned rest. It was the kind that answered back when he prayed, or rather, the kind that didn't answer at all. He'd always found solace in prayer, a quiet space where he could lay out his thoughts, his gratitude, his worries. After his wife passed, prayer became a lifeline, a desperate reaching for comfort in the crushing grief. He prayed for his children, for guidance in his new, solitary routine, for a renewed sense of purpose. He prayed in the mornings, over his solitary cup of coffee. He prayed while tending his small garden, a hobby he'd picked up to fill the hours. He prayed at night, when the silence of the house pressed in, and nothing happened. He didn't mean nothing in terms of dramatic interventions. He meant something more interior, more difficult to name. The prayers felt like they were going somewhere, but nothing came back. No warmth, no sense of being heard, no quiet reassurance in the middle of the night, just his own voice, bouncing off a ceiling that felt lower every week. He told himself it was a season. That's what you say. He'd read enough theology to know that faith has dry periods, that even the great mystics talked about distance, that this was part of it. He believed that intellectually. He taught history, after all. He knew about cycles and seasons. But the months kept moving, and the silence didn't. There was one particular evening. He'd spent the day trying to organize old lecture notes, a task that felt both nostalgic and utterly pointless. The house was quiet. The evening news droned softly in the background, but he wasn't really listening. He made himself a cup of tea, but forgot it on the counter as he sat down in his armchair. It grew cold, unnoticed. He started to pray. He tried, really tried. Not a formula, not a habit, but genuinely attempting to reach toward whatever was on the other side of that silence. He sat there for a long time. And when he finally stirred, he didn't feel better. He didn't feel heard. He felt tired and alone and faintly, quietly ashamed, as if the fact that nothing came through was somehow his fault, as if he were doing it wrong. He went to bed. He didn't sleep well. That was nearly 2 years ago, and he's still in that place. He hasn't stopped going to church. He hasn't declared himself an agnostic, hasn't walked away from anything formally. He just carries this weight that he doesn't know what to do with, the weight of a faith that feels intact in his mind and completely silent in his chest. Maybe that's not your story exactly. Maybe your situation looks entirely different from the outside. But maybe, just maybe, the feeling is familiar. The feeling of speaking into a room and hearing nothing back. The feeling of believing, genuinely believing, and still waking up at 3 a.m, wondering if any of it is real. If that's where you are, this video is for you. We're going to walk through something together, a psalm that is thousands of years old and knows this silence from the inside, a reflection on what it might mean for someone sitting exactly where you're sitting, and a prayer. Not a polished one, the kind you might actually say if you said exactly what was true. Before we go any further, I want you to notice something. There's a candle visible in this video, a single flame, steady and small, burning in what might look like an unremarkable amount of darkness. I want you to look at it for a moment, not as a prop, not as decoration, as a symbol of something I genuinely believe, that God's light is not waiting at the end of this for you. It's here, right now, in this moment, in this darkness, in this silence that has been so heavy for so long. The candle doesn't resolve anything. It doesn't answer the question, but it's present, and sometimes that's the beginning. Thomas is still in that armchair, in my mind. The tea is still cold. He hasn't reached for it. He doesn't have any answers yet. Neither do I, fully, but I think we should keep going. There is a psalm in the Bible, Psalm 13, that begins with a cry that cuts straight to the heart of this experience. How long, Lord? Will you forget me forever? How long will you hide your face from me? Psalm 13:1, NIV. That's the opening line. No preamble, no gentle introduction. Just that. A raw, desperate question that echoes in the soul. And I want to sit with that for a moment before we go anywhere else, because I think there's a temptation when we encounter a verse like this to immediately move toward resolution, to note that the psalm ends differently than it begins, to reassure ourselves that it all works out, to reach for the light before we've really sat in the dark. I don't want to do that, and I don't think this psalm wants us to do that either. So let's start exactly where it starts. How long, Lord? Will you forget me forever? How long will you hide your face from me? If you've been in a season of silence, if you've prayed and nothing has come back, this question probably sounds familiar. Not as theology, as experience. You may not have said it in those exact words. You may have said it as, why isn't this working? Or why do I keep trying? Or why does everyone else seem to have access to something I can't find? But underneath those questions, somewhere close to the center, is probably something that sounds a lot like this. Why aren't you here? And I want to name something important before we go further. The fact that this question is in the Bible, preserved, sung, prayed, carried by people for thousands of years, means it is not a sign of weak faith. It is not evidence that something has gone wrong. It is, in fact, a legitimate prayer. One that God apparently receives, one that apparently belongs in the conversation. You are not outside the faith when you ask this question. You are, in a very real sense, inside one of its oldest traditions. The psalm was written by someone who knew the silence from the inside, not as an observer, not as someone who had read about it, as someone who was living it in real time, with no guarantee of resolution. And what they did with it was not hide it, not perform faith they didn't have, not wait until they felt better before they spoke. They brought the rawness directly to God. They said the thing that was actually true, out loud, and they called it prayer. That is available to you too, right now, exactly as you are. One more thing about this psalm before we go deeper, something that I think matters more than almost anything else I'll say today. This psalm is not a solo. It was written to be sung in community. In the ancient world, when this was sung in the temple, everyone present would have known the whole arc of it, the descent into darkness, the long middle passage, and eventually, the turn. Which means that when one person stood up and began to sing, "How long, Lord? Will you forget me forever?" They were not singing alone. They were surrounded by people who knew where the song was going, even when the singer couldn't see it yet. I think about that a lot. The idea that one of the functions of community is to hold the arc of the story, when the person living it can only see the beginning. That the people around you, even if they're not in your house, even if they're separated from you by centuries, can carry the part of the song you haven't reached yet. You haven't reached it yet, but it's there. And we're going to walk toward it together. Stay with those opening lines for just a moment longer. How long, Lord? Will you forget me forever? How long will you hide your face from me? There's something important about the fact that we're still here, still inside that question, before we try to move anywhere. Because I think one of the things faith communities sometimes do, with the best intentions, is move too quickly. Someone names the darkness, and almost immediately, someone else reaches for the light switch. As if the darkness were a mistake to be corrected rather than a place to be accompanied. This psalm doesn't do that. And I don't want to do that to you either. So let's stay here a little longer. Let's look at what's actually inside these words, not to study them, but to see if they know something about where you are. The first image I want to sit with is buried in that opening cry itself. How long, Lord? Doubled. Said twice, in essence. The repetition isn't just a question. It's an insistence. It's the sound of someone who has waited and waited and is now demanding an answer to the passage of time. It's not a polite inquiry. It's a desperate plea for an end to the endless. You say, how long, when the ordinary way of enduring feels insufficient for how much you need? You say it the way a child asks, are we there yet? On a seemingly endless journey. Not once, calmly, but repeatedly, with an urgency that the words alone can't contain. Think about the last time you really prayed. Not the routine kind, the kind where something was genuinely at stake. Did it feel measured and composed? Or did it feel more like reaching, like your hands going out in a dark room, not knowing exactly where the wall is, but needing to find something solid? How long, Lord, is reaching? It is the sound of someone who has not given up, who is in fact reaching harder than ever, but who is reaching into what feels like empty air, And here's something I want to offer you, not as a conclusion, but as something to hold. The very act of saying those two words, the very act of reaching, is itself a form of faith. Not the comfortable kind, not the kind that feels like faith, but the kind that keeps going when it has no evidence left to go on. You may not feel like a person of faith right now. You may feel like someone whose faith is broken, or absent, or on the floor. But if you're here, still calling out, still asking the question, still wanting to find God, even when you can't, that is the sound of, "How long, Lord?" That is exactly what this psalm sounds like from the inside. Thomas was doing that in his armchair. He didn't have a name for it that night, but that's what it was, reaching repeatedly into the silence. The second image comes from a few verses later. "Consider and answer me, Lord my God. Give light to my eyes, or I will sleep in death." Psalm 13:3, NIV. It's a stark line, uncomfortable even, and I don't want to smooth it over because I think it's pointing at something very specific. What does it feel like to be in the silence long enough? You're still going through the motions, praying, showing up, trying. And then one day, you notice something has shifted. You watch other people speak about God's nearness, in church, in a conversation, in a song, and you nod along. But inside, something is very quiet, very still. And you begin to wonder, in the private space where you don't say things out loud, maybe that's for them. Maybe I don't qualify for that. Maybe there's something wrong with the way I believe, or the way I live, or just the way I am. That is the feeling this line is pointing at. Not a theological statement about human worth, a description of what it feels like to be in the valley for too long. Small, overlooked, not quite sure you matter in the equation. The fear that this spiritual sleep might become permanent. It's like a seasoned historian poring over ancient texts, suddenly finding his own life story erased from the timeline. Have you felt that? Not as a belief, not as something you'd say you actually think about yourself, but as a feeling, a quiet, persistent suspicion that the silence might be personal. If you have, you're not alone in that. This psalm was written by someone who felt it too. And the fact that it's here, still being read and carried by people thousands of years later, means that this feeling is not the end of the story. It means you're still in the middle of it. The third image shifts the texture of everything slightly. "But I trust in your unfailing love. My heart rejoices in your salvation. I will sing the Lord's praise, for he has been good to me." Psalm 13:5, 6, NIV. This is the verse that undoes you a little if you're in the middle of the silence, because the writer is looking at a history of God showing up, a long, documented, remembered history. And they are aware, acutely aware, that they are not currently inside that history. They are standing outside it, looking in. Have you ever felt that way? Listening to someone tell their testimony, the clear arc of it, how they cried out and God answered, and feeling, not cynicism exactly, but a quiet ache. Like you're looking at a faded photograph of a vibrant past, a history you once lived, but now only observe from a distance. That's what this verse feels like from the inside. And I want to name the difference between what that is and what it isn't. It isn't doubt, it's grief. Doubt questions whether God exists. Grief knows he exists, or believed he did once, and aches because he feels so far right now. The writer of this psalm is not in doubt. They are in grief, and they are doing something remarkable with that grief. They are bringing it directly to God, not hiding it, not presenting a more composed version of themselves. They're saying, I know what you've done before. I've believed those stories. And right now, I can't find you anywhere. And I'm telling you that out loud. There's a fierce intimacy in that, the kind you only have with someone you actually trust, even when trust is the very thing that feels broken. You don't bring your full confusion to a stranger. You bring it to someone with whom you have a history, even if that history feels very far away right now. I've been sitting with that for a while. The bringing of it, the act of bringing the grief to God rather than away from Him, might itself be a form of connection. Not a solution, not a breakthrough, but a thread, thin, barely visible, but still there. The candle is burning while you sit with this, not because it changes anything, but because something that was lit is still going. And sometimes that's the only evidence available, and it has to be enough for now. We've been sitting inside the darker half of this psalm together, and I don't want to leave it too quickly, because I think it deserves the time we've given it. But there's a movement that happens in Psalm 13, gradual, unforced, almost reluctant, and I want to walk through it with you now. Not because it cancels what came before, but because it's there, and it's honest, and I think it might matter. About halfway through the psalm, something shifts. The circumstances haven't changed. The writer is still in the middle of everything that brought them to this point. But something in the angle changes, and it begins with one word, yet. Just stop there for a second. Yet. It doesn't erase what came before. It doesn't pretend the pain wasn't real or the silence wasn't long. It simply says, and yet. And yet there is something else that is also true. But I trust in your unfailing love. My heart rejoices in your salvation. I will sing the Lord's praise, for He has been good to me. This is not a theological argument. It's a memory, a declaration of past experience, a stubborn clinging to what was known. The writer is reaching back, further back than the silence, further back than the suffering, to something that existed before either of them. A relationship that predates the crisis, a connection that was present before the person was old enough to choose it or understand it. I want to ask you something, and I want you to hold it gently rather than trying to answer it right away. Is there something in your own history with God, something early, something that happened before things got complicated, that is still true, even now? Not something you feel currently, something you knew once, something that happened that you can't entirely explain away, even in the hardest moments. I'm not asking you to perform certainty you don't have. I'm asking whether the history is still there, somewhere underneath the silence. Because the writer of this psalm found it, and it didn't fix the silence, but it changed, very slightly, the way they were standing inside it. Thomas found something like that too, I think. Not that night in the armchair. That night was just cold tea and exhaustion. But somewhere further back, the quiet conviction of a young man discovering the enduring narratives of faith, the sense of purpose he felt when he first understood his calling to teach. Something he couldn't fully articulate, but also couldn't fully dismiss. A yet of his own, buried under 2 years of silence. It was like finding a forgotten footnote in a history book, a small detail that suddenly illuminates the entire narrative. Maybe you have one too. You don't have to find it right now, but it might be worth looking for. Later in the psalm, another image appears, and this one asks something of us. I will sing the Lord's praise, for he has been good to me. This is a declaration made from inside the silence, not after it, not looking back from a safe distance, from inside it. And the honest question, the one I keep coming back to, is how? How does someone say that while still in the middle of it? How does someone declare that God has been good when the felt daily experience is precisely that he feels absent? I don't have a clean answer to that. I want to be honest about that. But I think there's something here about the difference between feeling heard and being heard. They're not always the same thing. There are moments in human relationships where one person is fully present, fully attentive, and the other person, for reasons that have nothing to do with the quality of the attention being given, cannot feel it. The gap isn't in the listening, it's in the capacity to perceive. I'm not saying the silence is your fault. That's not what I mean. But I wonder, and this is a genuine wondering, not a conclusion, whether it's possible to be heard without knowing you're being heard, whether the silence might sometimes be a condition of the listener, rather than an absence of the speaker. That doesn't make the nights shorter. It doesn't make the prayers feel less hollow. But it opens a small crack in the wall that the silence builds. Just a small one, enough to breathe through. If you are living inside this silence right now, if prayer feels like talking to yourself, if you sit in church and watch other people close their eyes and sing, and wonder what they're accessing that you aren't, here are a few small available things, not instructions, just gestures. When the silence feels loudest, come back to that opening line. How long, Lord? You don't have to finish the sentence. Just that, the reaching, without needing to arrive anywhere. When you wake up at night and the weight is there, find one line from this psalm and say it out loud. Not in your head. Out loud, quietly, in the dark. There's something about giving the prayer a physical dimension, about speaking words into the actual air of the room you're in, that is different from thinking them. I don't fully understand why, but I found it to be true. And when the shame comes, the feeling that the silence means something is wrong with you, come back to the yet. You don't have to find it every day, but it's worth looking for, not to escape the silence, but to be able to stand inside it without it being the only thing. The candle in this video is a version of the yet. It's not the resolution. It's not the answer. It's the thing that is burning while everything else is dark. And it's still going, even now, even here. Before we go any further, I want you to take a breath. Just one, a real one. In through the nose, slow, and out. Sometimes words need to stop, and the silence does what no sentence can. We've covered a lot of ground together. You've stayed with some heavy things that don't resolve easily, things that ask more of you than easy answers ever could. And I don't want to rush past this moment into the next one. So just stop for a second. Look at the candle. Look at the flame, the way it moves slightly, even in a still room. The way the light it casts is soft rather than sharp. The way the darkness around it doesn't extinguish it, but almost seems to define it, to give it something to be visible against. There's something about a candle that a light switch can't replicate. A light switch changes the room all at once. A candle just is, quietly, without announcement, without asking the darkness to leave first. If you can, put your hands in your lap, not folded in prayer necessarily, just resting. Let your shoulders drop a little and breathe. One slow breath in and out, without trying to think anything or feel anything or arrive anywhere. You don't have to figure anything out in this moment. I think God can be in a moment like this, not as a feeling, not as a voice, but as a presence that doesn't require your attention to be real. The way the candle keeps burning, whether you're watching it or not. That's enough for now. Just this. Just here. There's something I've been wanting to say for a while, and I kept waiting for the right moment. I think this is it. Prayer sometimes feels like talking to the ceiling. I don't mean that as a metaphor, exactly. I mean the literal, physical experience of it. You close your eyes, or you don't, and you begin to speak, or think, or reach, and the words go up, and there is nothing that comes back down. No warmth, no shift, no sense of contact, just the ceiling, just the room, just you, exactly as you were before you started. And if you felt that, if that's been your experience, not once, but repeatedly, not for a week, but for months, maybe for years, I want to say something that I hope lands carefully. That is not a sign that you're doing it wrong. It is not a sign that God has assessed you and found you insufficient. It is not a verdict. It is, as far as I can tell, one of the most common and least spoken about experiences in the life of faith. The silence is not rare. It is not exotic. It is not evidence of spiritual failure. It is part of the terrain. And the reason it feels so isolating is not because it's uncommon. It's because almost nobody talks about it out loud. People share their testimonies of breakthrough. They share the moment the fog lifted, the morning they woke up and something had changed, the prayer that was answered in a way that left no room for doubt. Those stories are real and they matter, but they're not the only story. And when they're the only story being told, the people who are still in the silence begin to feel like they're the exception, like something has gone wrong specifically with them. Nothing has gone wrong specifically with you. I want to go back to that opening cry one more time. How long, Lord? Will you forget me forever? How long will you hide your face from me? This line appears somewhere else in the Bible. You may know where. It appears on the cross. In the middle of the crucifixion, in the darkest hours of it, Jesus says these words. He takes the language of a thousands-year-old cry of desolation and makes it his own. I'm not saying this as a theological argument. I'm not trying to prove something with it. But I want you to sit with the plain human weight of it for a moment. The Son of God, in the most extreme suffering imaginable, felt what you are feeling. He didn't quote a psalm of triumph from the cross. He quoted this one, this specific one. The one about the ceiling staying closed. The one about crying out by day and finding no answer. The one about the fear of sleeping in death. The one about watching others rejoice and wondering why you aren't. He quoted this one. And I don't know fully what to do with that. I've been thinking about it for a long time, and I still don't have a clean answer. But something in it refuses to let me dismiss the silence as a minor thing, a temporary inconvenience, something to be prayed through and passed quickly. If it was real enough to be felt there, in that moment, by that person, then it is real. It is not a symptom of weak faith. It is not a sign that something is broken. It is a known experience, known from the inside by the one we believe in. That doesn't end the silence. Knowing that Jesus felt, it doesn't make the ceiling feel less like a ceiling. But it does something to the loneliness of it. It means that when you cry out and nothing comes back, you are not in unfamiliar territory. You are not somewhere God has never been. You are, in fact, somewhere He knows very well. Now I want to say something about the valley, because I keep coming back to it. We talk about valleys as places you pass through. And sometimes they are. Sometimes the valley is a season, genuinely, mercifully a season. And there is a morning when you wake up and the light is different and something has lifted and you know you've come through. But sometimes the valley is long, longer than anyone told you might be, long enough that you stop expecting the other side and just start trying to figure out how to live inside it. And I think, I'm not certain of this, but I keep coming back to it. I think the invitation in those long valleys is not just to survive them, not just to endure them and wait for them to end. The invitation might be to learn how to be inside them differently. Not with more faith, necessarily. Not with better prayers or more consistent practice, but with a slightly different posture. The posture of someone who is not waiting to arrive somewhere before they allow God to be present. The posture of someone who says, if God is anywhere, He must be here too. In this, in the silence, in the valley. Not at the end of it. Here, now, in the middle of it, even if I can't feel Him. That is not resignation. It is not giving up on the idea that things might change. It is something quieter and, I think, more durable than hope for a specific outcome. It is the willingness to be accompanied, even when the companion is invisible. Thomas is still in that armchair, somewhere in my mind. The tea is still cold, but something has shifted, very slightly, in the way he's sitting. Not in his circumstances, not in what he knows or feels or can prove. Just in the posture. The shoulders, maybe, the way his hands are resting on the armrests instead of clenched. He hasn't found the answer. He hasn't heard back. The silence is still there, but he's still there too, still saying it. How long, Lord? And I've come to think, slowly, not all at once, that the continued reaching might itself be a form of presence. Not the kind you feel, not the kind you can report afterward, but real somehow. The way a candle is real even when you're not looking at it. The way the flame doesn't need to be watched to keep burning. The candle is still burning. Not because the darkness is gone. Not because the room is bright. But because something was lit and it hasn't gone out. And that small, unspectacular, ordinary fact, that is not nothing. It cannot be argued into meaning, but it can be looked at. And sometimes, when everything else is absent, something to look at is enough. In a little while, we're going to pray together. Not a polished prayer, not a performance, just the two of us, you, me, and whatever you've brought to this video tonight. The doubt, the exhaustion, the anger maybe, the half-belief that is all you have left and that you're not sure is enough. Bring it all, exactly as it is, without cleaning it up first. We're almost there. And I want to take just a few minutes here before the prayer, because I think the way you arrive at a prayer matters. Not in a formal sense, not as a ritual or a requirement, but in the way that the last few steps of a long walk matter. You slow down. You become aware of where you are. You stop trying to get somewhere and you just arrive. So let me walk those last few steps with you. We've covered a lot of ground tonight. We started with Thomas in an armchair with a cup of tea that had gone cold. We sat inside the opening cry of a psalm written thousands of years ago by someone who knew this silence from the inside. We looked at images from that psalm, the insistent, "How long?" the fear of spiritual death, the stubborn "yet." And we let them speak to what you're actually carrying, not what you're supposed to be carrying. We sat with the candle. We went into the deep places, the places that don't get talked about in most faith spaces, the honest places, the ones that cost something to name. And now we're here. I want to speak to you directly for a moment, not as a narrator, not as someone delivering content, just as one person to another. I don't know exactly what brought you to this video today. Maybe you searched for something specific. Maybe it appeared and something in you said, yes, this one. Maybe someone sent it to you. Someone who knows something about where you are right now, even if you haven't said it in those exact words. However you got here, I don't think it's entirely random. I want to say that carefully, without making it into more than it is. But I do believe that the things we're drawn toward in our hardest moments are not always accidental. And something drew you here, to this psalm, to this hour, to this particular conversation about the particular experience of God's silence. That something, whatever it is worth paying attention to. In a moment, we're going to pray together, and I want to tell you what that will look like, so you know what you're stepping into. It won't be a formal prayer. There will be no liturgical language, no elevated vocabulary, no structure so clean it sounds like something written for a church bulletin. It will sound like someone actually praying, which means it might feel a little uneven, a little unpolished, a little like it's being said for the first time rather than recited from memory. That's intentional. That's what real prayer sounds like, I think. I'll be praying with you, not at you, not for a general audience, not for everyone watching. For you, the specific, particular, irreplaceable person sitting wherever you're sitting right now, carrying whatever you've been carrying, feeling whatever it is you actually feel. Not the version of it that sounds acceptable, but the real version. God can work with the real version. I genuinely believe that. He can work with the doubt and the exhaustion and the anger and the half-belief and the prayers that felt like talking to the ceiling. He can work with all of it. You don't have to clean it up before you bring it. If you'd like, place one hand over your heart. Not in a dramatic way, just resting there. It's a way of saying, I'm here. This is real. This is my actual chest. And inside it is something that has been carrying a weight. And I'm bringing that weight into this moment. If you'd like, close your eyes. Or if closing your eyes feels like too much, let your gaze rest on the candle, that small, steady flame. Let it be the only thing you're looking at for a moment. Take one slow breath, in through the nose and out. Not as a technique, just as a way of arriving, of being, for a moment, only here. And if you have something specific, a name, a situation, a fear, a question you've been afraid to finish forming, hold it quietly in your mind. You don't have to say it out loud, but bring it. Bring it into the prayer with you. You don't have to feel ready. You don't have to feel anything in particular. The prayer doesn't require a minimum level of faith, a certain quality of belief, a heart that has been adequately prepared. If you have half a belief and a lot of exhaustion and a question you can't answer, that is more than enough to pray with. Because what we're about to bring to God is not our best. It's what's actually there. And I think I've come to think this more and more, that what's actually there is what He's been waiting for all along. Not the composed version, not the version that has it together, the version that's sitting in the quiet, with a cold cup of tea, still reaching into the silence. That version is welcome here. That version is, as far as I can tell, exactly who this psalm was written for. So whenever you're ready, take one more breath, and let's pray. God, I'm going to be honest with you right now, because I think that's the only thing left. There is someone here, right here, in this moment, in whatever room they're sitting in, who has been praying for a long time. Not casually, not out of habit, genuinely, with everything they had. They prayed in the morning, and they prayed at night, and they prayed in all the ordinary spaces in between. And the ceiling stayed closed, and nothing came back. And they kept going anyway, because somewhere underneath all the silence, there was still something that believed, or wanted to believe, that you were there. That person is tired, God. Not the kind of tired that a good night's sleep fixes. Tired in a deeper place. Tired of reaching into what feels like empty air. Tired of watching other people speak about your presence like it's the most natural thing in the world, and not being able to find it anywhere in their own life. Tired of wondering if the silence means something about them, if they're doing it wrong, if they're too broken, or too complicated, or too far gone for whatever it is that other people seem to have access to. I want to name that out loud, right here, before you. The exhaustion is real. The confusion is real. The anger, the quiet, complicated anger of someone who believed and kept believing, and still woke up alone inside the silence. That's real too. I'm not going to dress it up. I'm not going to soften it into something more acceptable. This is what it actually is. And I'm bringing it here because I don't know where else to bring it anymore. And yet, you were there before the silence started. You were there before this person knew how to pray, before they had the words, before they understood what faith was or wasn't. Something in the beginning, something early and quiet and real, was you. They know it, even now, even after all of this, somewhere underneath everything, they know it. And I believe, I am choosing to believe, right now, out loud, in this room, that you are here. Not at the end of this, not waiting on the other side of some threshold they haven't crossed yet. Here, in this room, in this silence, in this moment that feels like nothing, but is somehow, quietly, not nothing. The candle is burning, God. That small, ordinary flame in the dark. And I believe that is something like you, present, steady, not requiring the darkness to leave before showing up inside it. You are here. Even if it can't be felt, even if every nerve and instinct says otherwise. I am saying it out loud because someone needs to hear it said out loud. And because I believe it is true, even when nothing confirms it. You are here. So I want to ask you for something specific, not in general, not vague comfort or abstract peace. Real things, for this real person, in this real moment. Give them the ability to get through tomorrow morning. Not the whole future, just tomorrow morning. The moment when they wake up and the weight is there again, exactly as heavy as it was the night before. Give them something for that moment. One breath, one small, available thing to hold on to, just enough to get up. In the nights when the silence is loudest, when the house is quiet and everything else is still, and the absence of you feels most acute, give them something. Not necessarily a feeling, not necessarily a voice, a memory of something real maybe, a line from this psalm, the image of a candle still burning in the dark. Whatever you have available in that moment, God, whatever is possible, give it. Take the shame from them if you can, the quiet, corrosive belief that the silence is their fault, that if they were better or stronger or more faithful, the ceiling would open. Take that, because it isn't true, and it is making everything heavier than it needs to be. And give them, I know this is a hard one, give them the ability to trust, even slightly, even provisionally, even without feeling it. Not blind trust, not perform trust. The thin, honest, barely there trust of someone who says, I don't know where you are. I can't feel you anywhere, but I'm still here. I'm still saying your name. How long, Lord? I'm still reaching. That reaching is all they have right now. Let it be enough, because I believe it is. And so, this person is going to lay something down now. Not because the weight is gone. It isn't. Not because everything is resolved, or the silence has ended, or the morning looks different than it did before. None of that has changed, but they don't have to carry it alone anymore. That's all. That's the whole thing. They don't have to carry it alone. Take it. Hold it. Do with it whatever you do with the things that are too heavy for one person to hold. Amen. You stayed. Through all of it, the story, the psalm, the hard places, the honest ones, you stayed. And that matters more than you might think right now. I want you to know that that prayer was heard, not because of how it was said or how much faith was behind it, but because I believe that is what God does with the things that are brought to Him honestly. He receives them, even when nothing confirms it. He receives them. You're going to close this video and go back to your life. And the silence may still be there tomorrow morning. I'm not going to pretend otherwise. But something was said out loud tonight that maybe hadn't been said before. Something was named. And named things are slightly less heavy than unnamed ones. Not fixed, just slightly less heavy. Come back to this video when the weight returns. Come back to Psalm 13, to that opening cry, to the yet, to the declaration made from inside the darkness. Let it be a place you return to, the way you return to somewhere that has held you before. And if this video was something for you tonight, if it gave you even one moment of feeling less alone in the silence, there is probably someone whose name is already in your mind right now, someone in their own valley, someone carrying their own silence. You don't need to explain why you're sending it. Just send it. Let it find them the way it found you. If you'd like to stay close to this kind of content, not motivational, not polished, just honest, consider subscribing. And if you want to, leave a comment. It doesn't have to be long. It doesn't have to explain everything. You can just say which psalm you'd want to walk through next, or simply that you were here tonight. Someone will read it, and you will be a little less alone in it than you think. The candle is still burning, Go gently,